Hello and welcome to the very first videos that we're going to be discussing concerning database normalization. The process of normalizing a database is to eliminate all data anomalies. Data anomalies cause so much problem. Of the most evident problem associated with data anomalies is data redundancies. So we're going to get data more than is needed. Not only is at this moment that we have to be worried so much about the storage. Maybe in the past that was a major problem, but it's not about the storage per se as much as the situation that is going to wreak havoc on our data that we're going to eventually at the end of the day that we're going to report to somebody, including ourselves, that will be making a decision making about an action or a task, or it could be really a make or break situation. Anyway, to make it a short story, we wanted to mention very quickly that there are usually three types of anomalies. These are insertion anomalies, there is update anomalies, and there is a deletion or delete anomalies. So when we might get a problem when we're trying to insert something, we might get a problem when we update something, and we might get a problem when we delete something. Let's take a look at this list of data that more likely coming from a spreadsheet, and I am actually using a spreadsheet in order to communicate my ideas to you, and also many people actually do organize their data before they move it to a database in the spreadsheet. So if you take a look at this, this is not even a table. I wouldn't even call it a table because table has a record, meaning there is one piece of data pertaining to a specific cell. In this case, if you notice, I have multiple attributes or field names. We have employees number, position ID, the name of the person, position description, pay grade, start date, when they started the date to assume that position, their type of health plan, and the plan description. If you notice, in order to go through the normalization, we have to go for this the purpose of this list of videos, we're going to go through only the first three normal form. 1 NF, that's mean first normal form, 2 NF, that's the second normal form, and the 3 normal form. The first normal form, and I'm going to go ahead and write it down here so I'll be able to see it, is to all data must be not repeated. There's mean no repeating. Let's go ahead and put it this way first. 1 NF, no repeating groups. And also another thing that I have to worry about, all data in any field must be atomic, meaning a single value. If you take a look at the first row here, I have an employee number, and obviously this is a unique value, and the reason that we stated with this that the employee number is a unique to each entry, where there is also a position ID that person assumed. The name of the person is Barbara Hennessy, maybe this is misspelled, and the position description that this lady assumed is manager. The pay grade is $40. I could go ahead and change the whole thing. And of course, the starting day, her health plan is B, which is described as manage HMO. Notice here, first of all, I don't have any problem with the repeating group because I have only one employee's number and one position, but Barbara Hennessy as a name should be actually broken down into atomic level of data, meaning the first name should be by itself and the last name should be by itself. Of course, there is a million ways of doing it, but if we have hundreds and thousands of these records, then we have to revert back to fixing this problem immediately. So I'm going to go ahead and show you very quickly how I'm going to do it. I'm going to insert a row, and I'm going to go ahead and, I'm sorry, I'm inserting a column, and this is going to be the first name, and I'm going to use a function that is available for both Access and Excel. I use Excel to clean things up, and I'm going to go ahead and get this text, and it should be as it should go as far as finding the space, which is finding that space, okay, inside. Let me go ahead and say, yeah, finding text within this space, and I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and you notice here I was able to get Barbara. So basically we're going to go all the way to finding the space. Maybe it's good to actually take the extra space. Oh, 1 second here. I need to make sure that whatever that value returned for me from the left, okay, whatever that value is returned from the to the left, from the find, I'm sorry, -1. So find is a function. I'm going to go ahead and make it a little bit larger for the people who don't understand how to use it. Find is going to take a specific text, which is in this case is the space, within a string, which is the Barbara Hennessy. And once it finds that location, okay, I'm going to subtract 1 from it. Then it's going to look into the C3, which is Barbara Hennessy, and extract that much. If you notice, find, to make it clear, it's going to go ahead and it's going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the position is going to be on the position of 8. That's where it's going to find the space, and I have to back up 1 in order to go back. And as you notice, 1 second here, left, one more time, left this the text, and let me go ahead and explain find. It's easier. Find, so I'll be able to show you this. Find this space within this one here. So it will give me probably 8. Yes, 8, because Barbara is 7 character, and the space is on the 8. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that, but I'm going to be using a function called left that's going to extract, okay, as much as from this, as much as whatever the find function is going to return, but I'm going to take 1 out of it. So it's going to go from the left all the way to the 7th position, and it should give me at this moment Barbara. So I'm going to go ahead and do the whole thing for the same thing, of course, using that fill handle, which is going to give me the first name. I'll do the same thing with the last name. I'm going to go ahead and insert, this is last name, okay, and in last name I'm going to start where we found the position, but we're going to go 1 position next. So it's going to be find, if you notice here, again one more time, that the space is going to be the position 8. So it's going to be from 9 all the way to the end of the string. So in order to do this, we're going to go ahead and use the mid function. The mid function is going to look inside the strings, and it's going to go ahead and find the space within the string, and it's going to give me 8. I'm going to actually add 1 to it this time, and it's going to go as far as the end of the string, which is the length of the strings. String, sorry, using the function len in it, which is going to be here C3, and in this case it's going to give me basically Hennessy. Remember, len, it's going to give me the whole. Take a look at this, play with it, make sure that you understand how we extracted both first name and last name. And now I have the first name and the last name available for me. Of course, because this is based on a function, and this is also based on function, if I deleted this from Excel, I'm going to, as you notice here, if I delete it, it's going to give me error, because those values are dependent on what I just deleted. So I'm going to go ahead and undo, and I'm going to do the following. I'm going to go ahead and copy these, okay, but I'm going to paste them back as value, not as a function. So I will eliminate the dependency of these values on column C. And here we go. If you notice here, there is no more. Of course, I hit escape to get rid of the marching ant. Notice now Barbara is a constant string or a literal string. So now I could go ahead and delete this one. And now I could actually assure myself that I handle one major problem in the first attempt to create the first normal form, which is I created atomic data. But let's take a look again on the second attempt to see if there is any repeating group. Right away, if you take a look at the second row, that employees number 4519, actually a person by the name Lee, nor C, has assumed two positions, 1 and 2. So this is not going to work with us, so we have to be able to actually eliminate it. And for the speed of doing it, especially if we are taking a test, so we're going to go ahead and insert another one here. And I'm going to go ahead and copy this. Okay, so I could go ahead and, of course, going to add one more, copy it. And it's going to go ahead and say 2, deleting the 2 here. Okay, and all this will be copied down. So I'm going to go ahead and copy it because I need to eliminate all the repeating group. And also the same thing for this guy here. There is a repeating group, so I'm going to take the 30 and put it right here. And one of the dates also is repeating, so I have to take the second day, which is associated with the second position. And as you notice, I'm going to cut it and put it right here for a quick. And of course, that person is going to have the same blank we're not talking about. And here we go. And manage PPO. As you notice, immediately I made a mistake because this one here has no space on it, and this has a space on it. So this is basically by having to enter the same data for the same person twice, I might have a what we call insertion anomalies or update anomalies. In this case, I'm sorry, it's an update. When I'm updating this one here to this one here, it's going to really cause me a problem. Maybe I will be end up with misbilled plan description for the same health plan that as a result of having to enter the same data. The same thing I'm going to do to this one here. If you notice, I'm going to go ahead and insert another, and we're going to go ahead and take that down. Notice, and we're going to go ahead and do 4. I'll clean the rest, and here we go. I'll clean everything in a second. I need to speed up the process here, 20, and I'm going to go ahead and take that out, okay, and cut it because I need to have one single data per cell. Here we go, paste, and we're going to have C, and we're going to have also the health survey, which I could actually cause a problem if I don't get the help of Excel to help me to type it for me. But of course, this 4 has to go away because we cannot have more than one value. And this 20 must go away as well because we only can have one value. I could go ahead and center that in both cell. And the same thing for the last one, which we're going to go ahead and let me go ahead and do this. 8, 1, 1, 2. Okay. And I'm going to do the 2, then delete the 2 from there. Everything is going to be the same. I'm eliminating the repeating group. This is going to be 40, but I have to delete the 40 here. As you notice, just like I need to delete the 2 here. And of course, the date must be removed because there's no way I could repeat the group. Here we go. Copy and cut, actually, and put it right here. And notice, I could create a problem here if I don't know if I mistyped anything in this case. So notice here, I'm going to go ahead and get the format. So I'm going to go ahead and get that here. Make it a little bit smaller so I'll be able to see it better. And now we don't have any repeating group, knowing that each cell is going to have one single, this must be formatted as date. So it changed it to a number, no big deal. And I wanted to go ahead and do everything in center, so it looks a little bit better, at least for now. So notice there is no such a thing now as a repeating group, and I will go ahead and center everything for the whole database. It's center, it is centered, and that is a clean my database from the repeating group, from complicated or combined data, which I had to break it into atomic. You will tell me one thing, why would you actually do this? Notice here, if you notice, as you notice here, the fact that having to split those will create more data entry. That's true, but that's the very first step that I need in order to get the data to be treated as a record, one record at a time, and that is actually a true table versus the ugly initial thing that we have seen where there were repeating groups, and there were actually non-atomic data. If you ask me what is why we have to break the first name and last name, what about if you want to search or sort by last name? You could not do that if first name and last name as one piece of data. If you look at insertion anomalies, notice, because when we have here Lee and Lee, okay, I might easily misspell his last name in one of those two. I might also misspelled, as you notice here, we have position 2 as a director analyst. We could create some sort of data that has nothing to do with the reality of the business itself. But if I have one time to enter that piece of data, I guarantee there will be a mistake. If there is a mistake, I could go ahead and correct it in one location, in one position. But what about if this is a problem, misspelled, and this is misspelled? And there's two ways of actually having, two places I need to really correct it. And how about if I have thousands and thousands of employees that describe that position ID 12, in this case, the director analyst, with a different, of course, rate in this case. And this is another thing that we have to look at it. If you take a look at all the data that we have here, there is one instance of the health plan. Let's assume that Barbara Hennessy decided to quit the business, and as a result, since she decided to quit, I'll have to delete everything associated with her. Then I will be deleting a wealthy piece of information, or a valuable piece of information, that is the health plan that is going to go along with her. So that's something we need to really be aware of. It's called deletion anomaly. Sometimes you do something and you lose very valuable data. All right, so we can see insertion and update, and also deletion anomalies is going to be a problem with a database that has not been normalized. So repeating groups, removing the repeating group, I know I'm going to deal with one row at a time, but still all these anomalies do still exist. Okay, so how are we going to do this? We're going to look at the second normal form. What is the second normal form? The second normal form is going to be associated with the fact no partial dependency. No partial dependency. And I'm going to go ahead and check my spelling by hitting F7. All right. Now, if you take a look at the new formed table after the addition of, or removing the repeating group after breaking down the first name and last name, the employees number, as it was before considered to be the primary key, is not anymore can do the job, because as you notice, this guy and this guy, both of these values are the same, and by default by default, you would know by definition of a primary key, no way you could have the same value for a primary key. It is absolutely violates what we call the primary key integrity. So there is no way I could have this. I cannot have this as a primary key because we have two values for them. So what is this? What is the solution in order to handle this? We need to be able to look for another field that will create what we call composite key made out of two keys in order to assure the value is unique. And take a look at the employee's number and with the position ID. Both of them combined must be used as the primary key. So if you notice here, there is no way we could get the employee's number with the same position ID repeated, because that would be violating also the primary key. No matter how many pieces of data we ended up having to be treated as a composite key, every entry by itself must be unique. So now we agree that our primary key, after the first normal form, we decided to have it as employee ID number in this case, plus the position ID. Both of them have to be treated as a primary key, which is great at this moment. So since now we have a composite primary key, then we have to be aware of the fact that these two keys acting as one composite key, we're going to be looking for a partial dependency. Meaning, the partial dependency, we need to be very clear about it, that if any of the remaining, all these here, all the remaining data, they should be, in order to have no partial dependency, they should be completely and entirely dependent on the whole new primary key that is made out of both employee's number and position ID. But that's probably not going to be the case, because if you take a look, the first name is only dependent on the employee's number and has nothing to do with the position. The position comes later. The same thing with last name is dependent on the employee's number. So immediately I have to create another table, with the new employee's number as the primary key, and that's going to be the first name and the last name. They're both actually dependent on the employee's number. And let's take a look which else is going to be entirely dependent on the employee's number. The position description is dependent on the position ID. The pay grade, as you will notice, also that dependent on the position ID. The start date, that basically dependent on both of them, both the employee's number and the position ID. The health plan depend on the employee's number, so let's go ahead and put that here, health plan, and also the health description, which is, as you will see later, has a unique situation to it that depend on the employee's number. So what I'm going to do here, just to speed up the process, I will be taking this. Here we go. I'm going to copy everything here, okay, and I'm going to copy this and paste it here, and immediately remove anything that is redundant, because in this case, this is going to be my primary key, and I'm going to make it actually a big, bold with underline. That is a common practice, to put the primary key with underline. And I'm going to be removing anything has to do with, this one has to be removed. Okay, this one has to be removed because there is no primary key can be allowed. Okay, and this has to be removed. Okay, so now we assure ourselves that we have 4 employees number. Each of them are unique. The first one is going to be Barbara. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. Or actually, I could go ahead and make sure that the Barbara is here. Okay, for this one here. So Control copy. And 4519 is Lee. So I'm going to go ahead and say Control C and Control V here. Okay. And 8005 is going to be, that's pet. Here we go. As you notice, I'm going to go ahead and put it right here. And also, we're going to go ahead and do that 8, which is a crest. Control copy. I'm going to go ahead, so, okay. Control V2. And now we have this one here, Hennessy. It could be misspelled. And I'm going to go ahead and say copy and paste. For Lee, his last name is this guy. This. Here we go. So we're going to go ahead and do it. And Pat, last name is this. And Control C, Control V. And of course, we're going to go ahead and do the Chris with this last name. Copy. And here we go. Paste it. And the health plan for Barbara was B. Okay. And that is going to go manage H. There we go. So, and also the health plan for Lee was A. And the health plan for 800 is C. 8005C. And also for Chris was A. So we know now with A, it's going to be managed. This one here, which is, I could go ahead and paste it. And this one also A, so I could go ahead and paste it. And what is left for me is the health saving for C, so Control C to do it. And here we go. We're going to go ahead and paste it. Now, at this moment, if you notice, I ended up with a new table. I'm going to call it, in this case, this was, I could call the whole thing whatever name if I choose to have it. But I'm going to stick with calling this an employee. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and steal the format from here, so we all have the same border for everything, except the fact that I forgot I should not have touched it, which is I'm going to make it as a primary key. So notice that first name, last name, health plan, and health description is entirely dependent on the new primary key with the new table. It's called employees number. We still have to look at the position ID. Okay, we still have to look at a new table. Let's call this table employees. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and have another table. It's called position. I know it's going to be a long video, but that's okay because this way you could watch the whole thing as a lecture. I know it's going to be tiring, but that's the way it is at this moment. So what we're going to do is to look at the position ID. Okay, so this is the first thing. And position ID is going to be my primary key. And what else we have? We have the position description. There we go. Okay. And that is dependent entirely on the position ID. Then we have the pay grade, which is also that depend on the position. And I cannot touch the start date because that is actually depend on both. So this is not only on the position table or the position ID. So I'm going to go ahead and this is the name of the table. Okay, so this is the name of the table, and I could go ahead and change that to white. And this is basically the new primary key for the second table. And I'm going to go ahead and make it, but I need to get the data as well. So I'm going to go ahead and put the data. And the data is going to be, in this case, position ID. We have position ID is 2. Okay, so position 2 is 2. And that is manager. And we're going to go ahead and say the pay grade for this one is $40. Right? That's what it is. And now we have another position. We have multiple position. We have position 1. Okay, so the position 1 is going to be what? It's going to be director analyst. Okay. And the price for this one here, it's going to be director analyst is 45. Okay. 45. And also we have a position ID of a 3. What was here is an analyst. Okay. Doesn't matter what the name. Okay. The most important is the position ID, which is In this case, 3 is $30. And we have number 4, which is going to be, this should be supposed to be $40, to be honest with you, because that's position number 2. And this one here with number 4, the name of it is director, manager, no, analyst, another analyst. And that position with number 4 is $20. Okay, that's basically, it's going to cover everything. So this is my new table. And I'm going to steal the format. And here we go. I'm going to lose probably the format for the position. And here we go. So look at here, position description is dependent on the position ID. Pay grade is dependent on the position ID. There is no partial dependency. The big idea that you have to keep in your mind. If I ended up with a table with one single attributes or field name acting as the primary key, immediately we're done with the partial dependency. There's no more partial dependency. Of course, we still have another table that we have to take care of, which is going to be now based on position ID. I'm going to go ahead and copy this and put it here. Okay. And also the other one here is the employee, and I'll put it here. There we go. That still is a composite key, and that is going to be the starting day, the starting date. Okay. So notice here we have the starting days. If you notice here, the day here is going to be based on those two. So I'm going to go ahead and do the control key here, and I'm going to select the employees number with the position 2 with the starting date right here. So this is going to be here we go. Go ahead and control V. It didn't do it. All right, so it didn't like to paste multiple cells. So we're going to go ahead and probably get everything from here. Okay. It's to speed up the process. Okay. And I'm going to get all that one here. Go ahead and copy this and paste it. That's what you should do in a test. So you could basically speed up the process. In the starting date, it's going to be this way, which is keeping all the transaction that the last table, which I'm going to find a good name for it, it's going to be basically to keep track of all the dates, which is much easier to copy and paste. So we're going to copy and paste. Here we go. And notice for every position along with the employee, there is a starting date for that entry. So we're going to go ahead and do it. Notice now those are 2 acting as the primary key. So my primary key is those 2. There we go, both of them. And I could go ahead and actually make it both of those are the primary key. This is the primary key, and this is the primary key for this table. So I ended up with a 3 table. Look, there is no partial dependency because the starting day is depending on both of them. Since both of them are the primary key, then they are going to be no partial dependency. You could call this, we don't have to really stick with the notes, I could call it actually transactional table. Transaction table, because all the action that I have to really specify which employee is assigned to which position at what date is going to be constantly active, because there's only one entry for an employee. If there's a new employee just got hired, I go to the employee table. If there is a position that has to be described by its new title and a new pay grade, it's going to be done one time. So those are really kind of sleepy table. We don't use them as much as this one here that is going to be used as an assignment or transactional table. So this is my table. It's going to be the heart of everything. But also, before we continue with this, we don't think about the relationship until we will remove any sort of anomalies still exist. One anomaly, if you notice in here, take a look at the employees tables. What about if you look at the health plan and the health description? The health plan is one letter to describe it, and the health description is a description could be like a whole paragraph. What about if I added another employees here? Okay, and I'm going to call it here, let's say John, and let's say here Smith. Okay, and I added a plan with A, and I called it by accident managed LLO. Okay, now I got into extremely big problem, because the problem here, when did I actually update of the new employees, I get into an anomaly of violating the health description. Even the plan is the same here and the same here. This should be the same as this. So this new field caused me a problem as a result of having to enter the health description twice with A. What does that tell me? It tells me that the health description is really depending on the health plan. Meaning, if I put A, always I should be able to get the managed PPO. So, but health description and health plan, both of them are non-key value, meaning they're not part of the primary key. Since they are both of them are not part of the primary key, therefore there is a dependency of the health description, which is a non-key, on the health key, which is also a non-key. If there is any dependency between two fields that are not of the primary key, that will cause transitive dependency. And that is the third normal form, which is to eliminate the third normal form, eliminating all transitive dependency. Okay, so luckily for us with this tiny databases, we only have one that is considered to be a transitive dependency, which is the health description on the health plan. So it's very easy to do that. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to quickly do it. Actually, I'll cut both of those, not copy, sorry, and create another table right here, paste it very quickly. And what I'm going to do, first of all, for that one here, I'm going to delete this one here, because I don't need to repeat A multiple times. There we go, delete. And then this one here should never ever be allowed to stay here. So I'm going to go ahead and also delete that from the employee. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Okay, delete only those. Okay, so it's gone. However, now this will become I'm going to get only the format. Okay, now this is a third table, which is we're going to call it health description table. Okay, and that is going to have another primary key. It's called health plan in the health description. I really wanted to see and understand fully, because we eliminated the transitive dependency. Notice that only one time I have to enter the plan, health plan, which is one time. Let's assume I have another one, D. And in this case, I would say, let's say health saving 2. Okay, so this is basically only one time I need to enter that, no more than one time. So if I ended up actually changing this person to D, look here, I only need to change it here to realize that Chris Wanzel has changed his plan from whatever it was to D. And if I wanted to get the description of D, it's going to be to actually get it directly from this table. Now, let's take a look at the fact that we ended up with 4 tables: the employees table, the position table, the transaction table, and the health description table. Now we need to find the relationship between them before we take them to Microsoft Access and build them. Notice that employees number is the one relation. it's going to be a one-to-many relationship. And there is only one employees per entry by record in the employee table. And as you notice, there is actually employees number that can be repeated in the transaction table. So in this case, the foreign key to the table is going to be employees number to the table what? To the table employee. Okay? Again, I can go ahead and say here the foreign key position ID, okay, is going to be what? Is going to be the foreign key to the table position, which means what? This is will assure me that both tables now are actually being linked, employees in position to the transaction table. Position ID is the foreign key to the position table. Employees number is the foreign key to the employees table. The establishment of the connection is right there, and it's clearly very helpful to see that. There is one more link that we have to really establish, which is in this case, if you notice here, in the table employee, this one here, we could repeat the health plan, okay, as many times as we want. So this, the health plan here, the health foreign key is the health plan from here to the table health plan. Let me remember what I called it here. Health description table. Sorry, health description table. So this basically it's going to be the foreign key, since the health plan in this case is going to be the primary key for this table, meaning there's only one letter can be entered, and there's no way we could repeat the B or the A or the C or the D. I hope that you have been able to see the fact this is not yet to build the databases, but we are very ready to go ahead and take those into any database management system, whether is it Access or MySQL or Oracle or whatever, and we should be able to establish the referential integrity, since we know what is the primary key for each table, and since we know what is the foreign key that will actually establish the link between the four tables. Since the transaction actually link both tables, the employee and the position, through its composite key, which is each one of them is going to be treated as a foreign key. There is a link, since also the health plan as a foreign key will be linking itself to the primary key from the health description table. The four tables now in a very healthy relationship, and they could access all their attributes or data fields with no problem in any query that could be actually be the basis or the foundation for any report that you want. I hope you enjoyed this. I really truly thank you for taking the time to think it through this again, and this 43 minutes should worth a lot to you if you really take again the thoughts one at a time, play with it, dissect it yourself, see how you really need to go over everything. And there's a wealth of knowledge in this video. It might not need 43 minutes from your time, maybe 2 hours or even 3 hours to really go through every step in order to understand it. Again, one more time, thank you so much, and I hope to see you in future videos.